I hold the heart that beats eternal. 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 I hold the heart that beats eternal.
That is Spiraling from the CD Sacred by Edgar Luckett and Lisa Ferraro. So good morning.
Good morning.
The brave ones came out from the rain. Yay. So welcome to Center for Spiritual Living Morristown. I'm Frankie Timmers, and I'm so glad you're here with us, whether you're in person, which is always precious, or online, either today or anytime in the future. We are at the end of January, and January had the theme Celebrating Beginner's Mind. And that was because I love to go back to the beginning in January and review the basic principles of the Science of Mind teaching. And that's in the first 4 chapters of the Science of Mind textbook. So today is the 4th chapter called How to Use It, but my topic is putting it to good use. I know we live in a world where we think in dualistic ways, right? Good, bad, but I want to kind of explore that in a different way, just so we have a clearer understanding and therefore a clearer use. So our theme for the year is a grand rising, and those of you that are following us with the journal, that's really fun. We have a few journals left, and they can be ordered online. They're really wonderful. And anyone that's interested in what's going on at our center, I will share a little bit later what we're doing. We have a bunch of events coming up. And you can also go to our website, cslmorristown.org. So putting it to good use is really thinking about, simplifying it by thinking about all the things we're already using. I guess some of you used the car this morning. Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe a coffee pot, coffee machine, a kettle, of course, a kettle, yeah. So you used your shower, or bath probably, or at least, the sink for those of you that, as I call homeland baths, which is quickies, right? Quickie wash. So we're gonna relate that, because the thing is that we can all learn how to use these beautiful principles in a simpler, easier, and more grace-filled way. And then I want to talk about how important it is to not just think about it, read about it, like it, but to actually apply it. I mean, how many of you have cookbooks that you've never actually cooked a recipe from? Right? So that cookbook is useless in a way, right? Maybe it looks pretty on your coffee table or kitchen table, but the idea is to actually use it and make the recipes with it. Otherwise, you'll never get to eat what you see and what you like in the recipe book. So it's another analogy. And then, why? Because we are here, we've incarnated as human beings so we can learn a few things, so we can grow, and so we can evolve. At least consciously participate in our own evolution. So let's begin with our Namaste practice, where we put our hands together, and the word Namaste means the divinity in me blesses the divinity in you. So in a way, you're not just giving, you're also receiving. So just turn to somebody and say, Namaste.
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 Namaste, Daisy.
Namaste.
Namaste.
And let's treat our word for affirmative prayer. So here we are in this moment, this breath, this vehicle, this physical body that our soul has incarnated into. And so I know with absolute conviction that there is divine right action, that is happening in the right way, at the right time, in the right place, and that each of us has been given the opportunity to make a deeper soul connection with our true nature, our essential nature. And to find ways to live that in a more powerful, contributory, beautiful, grace-filled, love-filled way. And so we trust each of us in our own unique way, our personal evolution, knowing that we have a hand in it, that we get to consciously participate in our personal evolution of consciousness by simply awakening to the divinity that is already within us and using the life that we've been given, the life that we are living. So I know that today is a good day to become more aware, to become more awake, and to become more actively engaged in our own evolution. I'm so grateful for these opportunities, and I let go of whatever is in the way. I declare it as an affirmation because sometimes I don't know what's in the way. And so trusting that gives me even more to be grateful for. This we turn over to the universal law, allowing it to demonstrate it for each of us in our own unique way and for our own highest and best. And so it is.
And so it is.
So, how many of you used a coffee pot this morning or a kettle to make tea? Yeah, me too. Or maybe a French press or whatever you use, right? How many of you used a shower this morning? Yeah. How many of you used any kitchen appliances to make your breakfast? Right? How many of you used the car this morning? Yeah, so the thing is, the cool thing is that we all are using things, and the question then is, how did you learn? How did you learn to use a coffee pot?
By using it.
By using it, okay. What else?
Somebody showed me.
Somebody showed you, somebody taught you. What else?
Read the instructions.
You read the instructions. Yes, I was looking for that, but the other ones are really fabulous too, right? And so that's really what I'm talking about today, because the first week in January was the chapter, The Thing Itself. What was the thing itself? What was that? What's another word for the thing itself?
Love.
Love?
Spirit.
Spirit?
Creative.
Creative? Creator? Yes, all these words that we learned, and you're all reading the Science of Mind textbook every day, so I know you have a list. So there's about 26 different names for the it's in the thing itself. Whether you call it God, Spirit, what's really important is that what you call it makes you feel something. Because it's the thought plus the feeling that creates the action. And then the second week, the chapter was the way it works. And what did we discover? Who remembers? How does God work? How does Spirit work? How does the Creator work? How does love work?
By using it.
By using it. Yeah, it works through us. It works through its creation, which includes each and every one of us. And then last week, the topic is what it does. Does anybody remember what it, Spirit, God, the universe does? What does it do?
Manifest.
It manifests. What a quiet group. It gives, it gives, it gives, it gives, it gives. What you want to do is study it and make it so simple that it clicks like that. The thing itself, God, what it does, it gives. The way it works through its creation. Boom, 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 boom. Because that really helps us with the next chapter on how to use it. And so I have good news and I have bad news. It's not really good news and bad news, but you know, I love saying it. There's good news and there's bad news because it kind of reminds us that there's a little bit of everything in the universe, that the world that we live in, right? So the good news is that you already know how to use it. Just like you know how to use a coffee pot, a car, a shower, right? The bad news is that you don't believe it. You're not using it. So the good news really is that even if you don't know how to use something, you can learn. You know, like those IKEA kits. I don't know why IKEA doesn't say, here's the bookshelf all put together, take it home, right? We have to put it together. That means we follow the instructions, because if we don't, who knows what happens, right? So we want to really think about it in that term, that we already know how to use it. The instructions are already available. The teaching already exists. The classes teach us that. So we can all learn. Even if we don't know, we can learn that by taking a class, by studying. But the bad news is that we don't use it because either we don't believe in it, we don't think we can, unconsciously we may not even be conscious of the fact that we have the ability to use the teaching. All that stuff that goes through our smaller mind that blocks us from using it gets in the way. So today is the day that I want to talk a little bit more about using it in the right way, or using it in the best way. I usually don't use words right from wrong or good or bad, but I think for today they can be really helpful to kind of clarify our mind and to open our mind to making it more simple for ourselves. And not using it from a place of, I don't know, from timidity, from confusion, from inadequacy or belief in inadequacy, but just to make it more simple. And we can all do that for ourselves, actually. And so Ernest Holmes says that the practice of the teaching is more powerful than the theory. I mean, hence, having a cookbook that you never use is kind of useless. Actually using the recipes and making them and experimenting with them and maybe add a few of your own ingredients is really about the practice, because then you get to eat what you are making. And so the practice itself makes it easier. I don't know if any of you have ever practiced a sport or a particular hobby or a particular new thing, like even driving a car, making a cup of coffee, right? It takes practice. And when we practice, it gets easier and easier and easier until it becomes second nature, which I really call until it becomes first nature, right? And so we make it easy today, and the beauty of this is that we offer so many opportunities here. And if here isn't enough for you, or the timing isn't right, in the grander Centers for Spiritual Living community and beyond in the spiritual world, there are an infinite amount of ways and offerings to learn. If it comes to this teaching and its practices, every Sunday is an opportunity to learn, because I always give homework, even though you might think I don't. And we offer all these wonderful classes. So Susan Need, who is a practitioner in Princeton, is offering a class starting February 5th. It's a Monday night on Zoom, and it's called Change Your Thinking, Change Your Life. It's a beginner's class. So for those of you that are new to this or are not that confident yet, take the class. She's a great teacher. Please sign up for it online, and if you don't know how or you can't, let me know, I'll help you. And she will teach you some of the tools and give you some of the background and give you some of the practices. We have a discovery class that's coming up on February, when is that one? Discovery class, February 15th, where this is for anybody who's more interested and curious about what we're all about and is considering becoming a member or just wants to know what it means to become a member. And in that class, I also go back to the basic principles and practices of our teaching. So when we practice, what happens is, I love this saying, the proof is in the pudding. The proof is in the pudding. What happens to those of you that start to really practicing these principles, you begin to notice it in your life. You experience maybe more health. Maybe your relationships improve. Maybe you learn to love yourself a bit more. Maybe you find some ways to express your gifts and talents. Maybe your financial health improves. But the whole idea is we want to look for the proof when we practice. Because if we don't practice, there's not going to be any proof. Does that make sense? Right? So we want to practice it. That's why usually in the earliest classes, we invite people to treat for a parking space at the grocery store, right? And so you begin to practice and you go, oh my gosh, it worked. Or you treat for money and you find a dime on the street. That's often dismissed, but that's proof. And so then we begin to practice more and more, and we might even discover that we're a little bit afraid of that power of practicing allows us to prove the teaching, because we're in these habits, these old habits that don't serve us anymore. So we're not making pudding today, but when you think about it in a more spiritual, metaphysical way, the interesting thing is it's very different. Because when it comes to spiritual principles, they're less tangible. Right? I can learn to drive a car, and I can prove I can drive by getting a license and getting a car and driving. But when it comes to spiritual principle, it seems a little more fuzzy. It's less tangible. So we more easily dismiss it. The sad thing about that is that matters so much more than anything else, because it's about our soul's awakening. It's about our spiritual evolution, which is always cause to all of our experience. So why would we not want to start there, or at least spend just as much time, right? And so what happens then is we practice until. You might be doing a spiritual mind treatment for health for the rest of your life. And maybe you don't fully demonstrate what you're treating for, what you're praying for. But it will change your consciousness. I promise you. If it doesn't, talk to a practitioner, talk to me, take a class, and dig a little bit deeper to see what possibly could be in the way. Because what's in the way is inside of us. It's in our consciousness, and we're not always aware of it. So this makes all of us practitioners. Just like you might be taking a salsa class, you're a practitioner of salsa. Just like you're taking an art class, you're a practitioner of that particular art. Just like you're doing a certain sport, you're a practitioner of that sport. You want to think of yourself as a practitioner of this teaching. Most of us, when we hear the word practitioner of this teaching, we think about a licensed practitioner like me or Lori or Gail or Susan or John that serve us. But it's not, I'm not talking about a licensed practitioner. That's a 4-year study and then an exam and then an oral exam. So there's more involved. But if you're here and if you're listening to this talk, or if you're taking a class, or you're studying this teaching, or you think of yourself as a spiritual person, then you are a practitioner of this teaching. And being a practitioner of this teaching means we're practicing it. We're exploring it. We're experimenting with it. And what do we use? Well, we might not use a bicycle or a cookbook or a special outfit for your hobby, for your sport or dance, but you're using life. And life is the macrocosm of your being. The sport or the hobby is just a micro. So it does require an understanding that we always go back to that, to the big picture. And so, to me, life matters more. It matters most. It matters more than my hobby in art, than my hobby in flamenco dancing, which class is starting again, than my hobby in this or that, right? My hobby of living life and the practice of living life matters always most. And I use all these avenues as a way to open my experience to really see how I navigate my way through life. Because how we navigate ourselves through life is very telling, right? Some people are always worried and afraid and anxious, and some people are like, yay, bring it on, I'm ready, I'm happy, and then there's everything in between, right? Some people are generally more optimistic, some are generally more pessimistic, and then there's everything else. But what we do is we practice from what it is that we desire. We practice because we have a longing to be of service to the world. We practice because we have a longing to have deeper relationships with ourselves or each other. We practice because we want to be healthier. We practice because we want to feel more secure in the world, more secure financially. That's why we practice. And so many of you remember, not all of you, but what we did here on December 31st. We did the burning bowl ceremony where we wrote down things we wanted to let go of. And then we created a space because we let go of it. And then I invited you to write down a prayer for the world. And we rolled them up in little scrolls and we hung them on the windows. And here they are. I took them home this week. I unfurled them, left them on my little altar, treated about them, on them. Then I opened them all up, read them all. And I looked for the theme, the common theme. What do you think was the common theme of all the prayers that people wrote down on that day?
Peace on earth.
Peace on earth. Peace on earth was the big one. Any other thoughts?
Good health.
Good health, that was there.
Happiness.
Happiness, yes, that was there.
Joy.
Joy was there too. So that's a cool thing, right? Because we all kind of know what we want as a prayer for the world. The other one was love, compassion. The other one was the healing of the earth. Some other ones were, I made a list. Where did I put my list? Okay, we don't need my list. It's probably in my office. The interesting thing was that the majority of them were of things that people wanted. That's really important because 8 of them were things of what people didn't want. What do you think, and you don't need to answer this, it's a rhetorical question, what do you think happens if I ask the universe for something I don't want?
You'll get it.
you'll get it. It sends a message to the universe that's confusing, right? So if I say, I don't want violence anymore, I don't want the earth to suffer anymore, which some of the people wrote. I don't want any more hatred. The universe doesn't put no and hatred together. It hears the word hatred. So it's really important for us that we learn to think more affirmatively, that we look at what we focus on. Are we focusing on what we want to get rid of, or are we focusing on what we want more of? In this teaching, we focus on what we want more of, because that's where the teaching comes in. That's how the teaching how the teaching works, and that's what we learn to practice. So what we learned from these prayers as well, just like life tells me what it is that I'm thinking and what it is that I believe, so it becomes my opportunity to say, what is it that I need to shift in my consciousness so I can have a different experience? In the same way, we want to really think about what we want instead of what we want to get rid of. So that's where the main practice of how to use it comes in. We use about 5 different spiritual tools, different spiritual practices. The main one is spiritual mind treatment, affirmative prayer, and I'm going to come back to that. Then there is affirmations. Anybody here doesn't know what affirmations are? They are affirmative statements. That is the trickiest part when I teach people how to spiritual mind treatment, because they insist putting in those treatments what they don't want, instead of affirming what it is that they do want as if they already have it. The mind goes like, world peace? Well, I just watch the news and forget about that. So we want to notice what pops up in our mind that says, not happening, so why bother? The idea is just to notice that and say, oh, that just means I have a little more work to do. That just means that I have to dissolve anything inside of me that is not peace, that does not represent peace, that does not reflect peace. Because I can say all I want about the world and have a gazillion opinions about it, but it doesn't change unless I change in my consciousness. When I change in my consciousness, it shows up in the world. So we use the world and life as a mirror to what's going on in my consciousness, so I know what to focus on in my spiritual practices. Then there's visualization. Some people are very visual. So they just can sit and visualize whatever it is that we want to demonstrate, whether it's for the world or for ourselves. Then there's the practice of visioning, which is a powerful practice where we put our own little mind aside and we listen to that deeper wisdom inside of us for guidance. And then there is meditation, which to me, if people aren't meditating, they're struggling. And I don't care if people say, whether they say I can't do it, I don't know how, or I don't want to. It is a really powerful way, because we are so overwhelmed with distractions in the world and so much noise that our soul needs peace and quiet. I think I got them all. Oh, and then the last one is study, where you take a class, and I already mentioned which class is coming up. So when you look at that little symbol over there, the circle with the 3 layers and it looks like a V inside, that's the Science of Mind symbol. It's hanging on the window over there, the blue one. The way that works in the most simple way is that the circle represents the universe, all of life. And then the top part is spirit, the middle is soul, and the bottom is body. Another way we can say that is universal presence on the top, individual experience of that in the middle, and the bottom is my life. So the top can also be spirit, capital S, the middle can be law, universal law, it's how it works, right? And then the bottom is demonstrating, manifesting. So it's really chapter 1, 2, and 3. The thing itself on the top, the way it works in the middle, and what it does on the bottom. So we want to think about that and own it and personalize it, because that's what's happening in our evolution. So for those of you who are gardeners, you can think of it in terms of the top is the seed, your thinking. The middle is the soil, your consciousness. And the bottom is the plant. So if I'm going to plant tomato seeds, I'm not going to get anything I might want or would love or would change it into. I'm going to get tomatoes. So it's the same within our own consciousness, that our thoughts are like seeds that we're planting in our consciousness, and the law, universal law, the way it works, demonstrates them. So for you and I, our personal law with a small l is our beliefs. Our belief systems are law in our lives. So if I believe that the world is going to hell in a handbasket, that belief is going to demonstrate in my life, and I'm going to see it everywhere, in politics. And sometimes I walk around and I say, all structures are breaking down in this culture. Well, I can believe that, but I need to explore that, because that's not really what I want to believe. So then I can kind of explore that, think about it, treat for it, and say, well, what's my part? What's mine to heal, and what's my part? So what we're doing then is experiencing consciousness individually in our lives, in our world, but collectively as well. So what we're seeing in the world is the collective consciousness of all humanity demonstrating the good and the bad, right? What do we focus on? So the whole idea is that we can develop an expertise at anything, right? If you just keep practicing. So we can develop an expertise at developing our consciousness. We can cultivate our consciousness, which just means that you're growing, you're evolving. And so what we want to do is we want to open up to the different practices. We want to open to a spiritual practice. I'm sure all of you do something, whether it's treatment or meditation or study or journaling or affirmations. You want to be doing something so that you can cultivate that consciousness. Just like if you're going to learn how to ride a bicycle, if you don't practice, you're never going to master it, right? It takes practice. You might fall a few times. And so the idea is that we look at our beliefs, we especially explore our beliefs where we're most challenged, because the areas that are working really well, we would just want to say, oh, thank you, God, I'm so grateful, I'm so blessed, I'm so blessed. But the areas in our lives that were the areas where you complain the most, the areas where you're the hardest on with yourself, the areas where you worry or are anxious or are afraid, those are the areas that you want to go to work, little by little by little. And so we can look at our beliefs, and if I say, well, I don't even know where to start, what belief am I going to look at? I don't know how that works, which, by the way, is the ego mind to say, shut up, don't do any of this, right? And so if that's a challenge for you, just look at your life. It will tell you what you believe. Look at your body in the mirror. It will tell you what you believe. Look at your experience right now, whether it's a health issue or aging or career or family relationships or lack of relationship or whatever. Just let that show you what it is that you believe. And if that still doesn't work for you, reach out to a licensed practitioner, because they're there to support you with that. Because remember, your life is a mirror, and it's just mirroring back to you what you believe. When you shift a belief, the image in the mirror changes. So right use, wrong use is not really about use, but it helps our ego mind, our human mind, to understand and to process it. Because when it comes to right use and wrong use, we're really thinking about the concept of punishment reward, which most of us were raised with. And it's a very harmful concept. Because if I walk around saying, well, here I'm going to be punished and here I'm going to be rewarded, we have a very limited way of using our consciousness, which I'm going to have to talk about another time because that's like 4 talks, right? But just kind of think in terms of that when we feel that way, that there's a reward punishment thing that we experience in life, then we can use that to free ourselves. If I'm constantly hard on myself and I punish myself, it's not going to serve me. You and I already know that. So we can kind of look at how we use that system and how it shows up for us. We work with it to cultivate more compassion. Because I don't know about you, but when I'm patient and compassionate and loving and I'm grateful, I'm going to have a different experience than when I'm ungrateful, I'm complaining, I'm whining, I'm worried, I'm anxious, I'm impatient. Anybody disagree with that? Oh, good. I don't see any hands on the other side of the camera either, so I think we all agree, right? So the main spiritual practice then is a practice of using our mind and using words. They can be thoughts, but thoughts and words in the way are the same thing, right? And so when we do a spiritual mind treatment, the basic is the 5 steps of treatment. The first step is called recognition. What we're describing in our mind or on paper or out loud is our definition of this thing. Our personal definition of what we call spirit, love, God, the universe. Step 2 is unification, which is where we connect with that and we describe the connection, the relationship. Step 3 is a simple affirmation for what it is that you want, stating as if it's already so. I already am healthy. I already am abundant. Now, in class, you'll learn about the other steps, because what sometimes happens when I say I am abundant and I'm broke is my mind starts to throw up on itself. So we want to just pay attention to that for later, but just for now, it's an affirmation. And then step 3 is say, I accept that. I accept it. I'm grateful for it. And step 5 is release and letting it go, because we don't have to make it happen. It's the universal law that's making it happen in responding to our word. And so you and I are already doing that. Has anybody ordered anything online this week? Yes, what did you order?
This is funny. I ordered booties for my new dog.
You ordered booties for his dog. I love that. So in a way, you practice the principles of spiritual mind treatment, the 5 steps. What website did you connect to?
It was Amazon.
Amazon. An ad for Amazon. To connect it to Amazon, you had to know, like, okay, so let me set up my computer. Where am I going to order? Amazon, because Amazon is the supplier and it's easy, right? So step 1, Amazon. You had to define Amazon and describe what you wanted. Step 2 is you had to connect to the internet, right? You had to connect to the internet. So you made a connection, and then it says, hello, David, somewhere. What is it that you want? And then you put in booties for my dog. That's your affirmation. And then, do you stay online until the booties are delivered to your house?
No.
No. What happens once we put in the order?
We disconnect.
You disconnect. You call, nobody here calls Amazon and says, did you get my order? Are you sure it's on the way? We assume and expect that in a couple of days those booties are going to be on our front step. Spiritual mind treatment. We accept, we're grateful, we hang up, we let go, and we trust that it's delivered. Isn't it interesting that we have more faith in Amazon than we do in the universe? I'm ashamed of it, personally. You know, it's just so interesting. So just want you to think about, you're already using it. You have a gazillion examples of all the things you use and all the things you do, and you can kind of put them next to each other. Play with it, dance with it, have fun with it, enjoy it, laugh at yourself, go, I have more faith in Amazon, I have more faith in the post office than in this practice, than in spiritual mind treatment, than in science of mind, than in my ability to use it. And just experiment with it and see what happens. Now let's listen to a little bit of music that allows you to more deeply understand that you and I already are using it. We have the ability to use it. And this will be an inspiration. And this is a song that comes with gestures. If I remember them right, I will do the gestures, and if you want to join in with that, you're welcome to do that. Yeah. That's Ricky Byers with the Agape Choir called Use Me. Here's my little list. Thank you. So there's a couple of things that I want you all to know. Usually we have Healing Circle on the first Friday of the month. That would be this coming Friday, February 2nd, Groundhog Day. But Gail has made a request to move it up 1 week. So this month's February Healing Circle will be February 9th at 7 p.m. We have our second restorative yoga class tonight with Hannah Grotkowski. It was wonderful 2 weeks ago. I really loved it. It's very relaxing, very easy poses and adjustments if you're new to this and you just want to sit on a chair. So join us. You do need to contact Hannah for the Zoom link. So all the information is on the flyer, and if anybody's online and wants to know, it's on our website, or just contact us and we're happy to tell you. That's from 7 to 8 o'clock tonight, and it's every 2 weeks. There is a wonderful event coming up in February. It's a potluck dinner. We had our community meeting in November and people wanted to get together more often. So we're doing a potluck dinner. So bring whatever you like, and the flyer is there and the information on the website as well. It's on Thursday, February 22nd at 6 p.m. We're doing our next community meeting on February 25th. Most of you know now that this is my last year as Center for Spiritual Living, Morristown Spiritual Director. And we're getting together to say, well, now what are we going to do and what's possible and what do we want? So you're all invited to that. It's a potluck dinner, and then we start at 12:30. I have to print that out. I think 12:30, but it's on February 25th. And then I want all of you to know that we have had a men's group for 23 years. It's every first Saturday of the month, and it's a hybrid online, partly in person. That's also in our constant contact, our weekly email. If you're not getting that, sign up for it here or let us know and we'll put you on there. And that's this coming Saturday from 8:30 to 10:30. And we also have 12-step recovery groups on Mondays at noon and Thursdays at 12:30. So just a reminder for those of you that don't read the email or don't go on the website, there's lots of good stuff happening. And now let's have our offertory. Whether you're giving today or not, we're so happy you're here. Whether you're giving in person or online, whether you're giving via text or check or on the website or once a year or once a month, we love having you. We love your donations, but it's not a requirement. So the one thing that I know is that as I give, I receive. So this is another way that we can think about how we're using the teaching, right? It used to be where I would be withholding because I was afraid if I was going to give, I would lose. And now I've learned that I can't outgive God. So every opportunity I have to give, it not just money, but is just a wonderful circulation practice. So I'm going to pass this around. If you need an envelope, take the envelope. If you're not giving today, just bless the basket as it comes around. There you go. Let's do the affirmation together. Divine love consecrates my gift.
Divine love consecrates my gift.
It goes forth to heal, prosper, and bless. It returns to me multiplied abundantly.
It returns to me multiplied abundantly.
As I share my good, I accept my greater good. And so it is. I do want to do just a little spiritual practice in closing with a healing treatment. So even though we're passing the basket along, just pass it along. If it needs to come back, it can come back. Just keep moving around. I just want to do a little spiritual practice. So if the basket comes to you, just put it on the floor, put it on the chair next to you. So I invite you to just close your eyes for a moment. And I invite you to think about something that you use every day. If it's easy, pick your coffee machine or your kettle or your fridge or your stove. And then just take a moment to remember how automatic this is. It's that you don't really have to think about it. You don't have to read instructions every time you use it. You don't have to ask anyone. You don't have to learn. You're just doing it. So there was a process of learning that made it automatic. So now just be willing to believe that the same thing can happen with any spiritual principle or practice. So maybe you were listening today and you were thinking, I'm not sure, I'm not confident yet, I don't know how, I wish I knew. Just kind of notice those things if they were rumbling around in your mind. And then just tell yourself, just like I learned to operate this one thing, I can learn this. And so I'm willing to have it be my first nature, my second nature. And I'm willing to prove the principle, to experiment with it and prove the principle. So that it can show up in my life. And then maybe think about where you would like that to show up the most. Maybe inside your self-esteem, around your self-esteem. Or maybe in your relationships, maybe a specific one. Maybe in the area of vocation or finance. And then make a promise to yourself to practice. Knowing it doesn't need to be perfect, you just practice. There's many ways to learn. You take a class, you can read somebody else's written treatment, you can do affirmations, you can even look up online how to do affirmations. The information is everywhere. So make a promise to yourself to learn and to practice. And now envision that particular area of your life being more easy, more graceful, more joy-filled. And just see it in your mind's eye. And every time the not so much, not yet pops up, just let it go. Just let it go. And so here let's affirm with the spiritual mind treatment, our word for affirmative prayer, this. And I speak it in the I am, which is our true name, each of us. Our I am is our true nature, our essence, our spirit. So here I am, a speck in the universe with a consciousness that is my use of the universal consciousness. And today I have opened my mind and I'm willing to play there, to stay there, to hang out there. And I do this by being more hopeful, being more trusting that there is a way that the universe works already through me because it is beating my heart and it's breathing my lungs right now, so it knows what it's doing by means of me. And now I can know what it's doing for me. And to trust that it works for me, because why would it not? Why would it pick me not to work? And so I shift my mindset into a mindset of more faith, more trust, and more a willingness to use these principles, to use the universal law, to use the divine energy that's moving through me for my good, for my evolution, for my openness, for my awareness expanding. And as I make that choice and that decision, the universe rushes in and is the part of me that makes it so. I'm so grateful for this. I so accept these ideas, and I so accept them working for me in a fresh new way that I am excited about the life I am living, being an instrument of participation in my own evolution and growth. And so joy fills my heart, all is well, life is unfolding in divine perfection, and this I trust by turning this word over to the universal law, knowing that it shall demonstrate it in the highest and best ways. And so it is.
And so it is.
Thank you everybody for being here, for being a part of this live stream, and many blessings and much love.
Thank you.